What's up, everyone? I hope all is well during these crazy times. Today, we're gonna talk about what I kind of got aware of by doing one of Alex Moukala's From Scratch series. In this case, I did his Sonic cover, and I want to be really clear about something, which is I didn't do this by ear at all. There are like some differences between my and his version, but they're honestly not a lot. So, if you guys are interested in orchestral music, I recommend you all to actually watch his channel, because he has a lot of tutorials. He's way more developed than I am, and he knows his stuff. At the end of this video, I'm gonna sort of play a track that I made, which is an original, and just sort of give you guys a picture of what I learned or how I developed after I did his From Scratch series. In this case, it's the Sonic cover. So, let's go. I'm gonna play my version in 1, 2, 3, go. Alright, that was the track. The first thing I got aware of is actually you need to have a good orchestration before mixing. He mentions this in some of his tutorials. Like, you have to have a good arrangement before mixing. And even if I like turned off, I don't know, Ozone, which is just I just literally used a preset for on the master, and I still play this, it's still gonna sound good, you know? Like, I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but listen. You get the idea. So the thing is, before mixing, you have to take care of the arrangement, because it's kind of like there's no point in mixing something that is bad. It's like just, I don't know, adding a lot of dirt on kind of a dish or something. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you have to have a good arrangement before mixing. That was one of the big fundamentals that he actually kind of made me aware of. So that's one of the things he made me aware of. Also, what I noticed is you can layer stuff, but you don't always have to like layer it exactly the same way. You can change articulations, you can give a different rhythm, you can do something differently. Like, don't be this copy-paste person who's like, oh, I'm gonna layer this and I'm just gonna put it one octave higher on another instrument. Like, maybe that works sometimes. I'm gonna give an example here. So that's just like this arpeggio that's in the Green Hill Zone track, like the Sonic. You know? Yeah, you know what I mean. So, you saw this rhythm, right? Like, it's different than, I'm gonna see. Maybe. It's still like, it's the same. It's still like the same notes and everything, but it's not, doesn't have the same feeling as this. Alright. The second thing is, after you repeat something, because you know, music has this kind of structure that you want to be holding people by hand, kind of. So that means a lot of repetition. But when you repeat something, you don't always have to like keep it exactly the same. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a loop. And maybe that works for like, I don't know, an old video game or something. But a really cool thing you can do is add a variation. So we're gonna listen to this part again. Here. And I'm gonna point out the variation for you. Sorry, I mistakenly played a sketch. It's just gonna make everything. So, what I noticed is basically variation is really good to have, and you can do this by still keeping some of the key elements there. Like, you can have your key elements, but you can also add variations. So, this is a really great way to make the listener still, you know, like, still keep their attention, basically. So, in this part, I think it's here, there's a counter melody that plays. Now, Alex has this also in his version. The only thing is that my counter melody is actually different, because I didn't want to, like, copy-paste exactly everything. And it's on brass. Now, when you do stuff like this, a cool thing you can do is basically, you know, kind of make one of the instruments lower if they take too much attention in volume. Like here, this part, the main part is actually playing, it's getting lower. That's just a way to sort of give space for the counter melody, because if I didn't do this, it's just it could like mud up the track. Also, you want to be wary of the keys you're using. So, if you look, this is the wrong one. There it is. If you look at this, the notes that the counter melody is playing are kind of like separate. It's not like playing on the same range kind of, or like on the same notes that the main melody uses. So that's why this works. Though it does that, and like here it's the same notes, I noticed. In general, it's not playing the same notes. However, sometimes you want stuff to grow together, so it can be good to use the same notes, but you have to do that carefully, because otherwise it's just gonna destroy your track. So I think that's sort of I want to talk about section. Now we also have this. This is really quiet, but a good thing you can do on your track is add details. So this Woodwinds, you can barely hear it on this part, but it's just a small detail to kind of enhance the counter melody, I think. Oh, sorry. Here. You get the idea. So it's the counter melody, but it's not on high volume, because if I put it on high volume, it would just take too much attention span. I think there's also, I'm doing that. I'm not used to this. Sorry. Maybe? Oh, yeah. It's harmonizing. Yeah, also another cool thing you can do is obviously change articulations. Sometimes you want things to play fast, sometimes you want things to play slow. I'm gonna give an example here. It's at full speed, which is here. It's not like do 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 do. It's more like ba 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 ba. So there's like long notes and also these rhythmic notes in between, which is really helps to add the track. Same thing here. Usually when it comes to like basses, you need to be careful with this, because if you do too much stuff like this, it can get kind of muddy. So that's why he did this on cellos, because on cellos you're more free, kind of. Alright, so now we're gonna go to the next part. I'll turn this off. Let's go. Okay, so what I noticed is like this part here which is, I'm gonna show the ensemble. That thing is like really beautiful, and if you want to add movement to it, you need to like use the dynamics here. Maybe. So, you know, basically it gets louder and quieter and louder and quieter. So that's a great thing you can do. And also, if you want to like kind of make the track rise a little bit and give more tension, you can like add more notes, like here. Here. I mean, it does that here too. So, you know, it has this rising feeling. Also, yes. Yeah. A big thing I noticed is that this is fine. Like, usually you don't want to play notes on the same register. But if you look at these notes, they're actually playing where the long sustain ensemble is playing. But since this is rhythmic, it doesn't like cause that much mud. This would be, I mean, I haven't tried it, but I think it would be kind of a lot worse if I put sustain notes here. It would just like make the track more muddy. But since it's rhythmic, it doesn't. It's more like, you know, you get this rhythmic feeling, and since it's not a long note, it doesn't muddy up everything. So basically the sounds aren't fighting for space, they're leaving room for space. So that's why this works. I just love this part. Let's see what. Just gonna see if there's something I'm forgetting. Yeah, it's basically what I just discussed. Like, there are some notes here that's actually playing where the sustain notes are, but it's not that bad because this is rhythmic. Sorry, guys. This is the first time I'm doing. Oh, we also have the Woodwinds. Alright. Okay, so here's one thing that I noticed is since the Woodwinds are playing on a register that's not used yet, it's more noticeable, but also it doesn't destroy the mix, kind of. And I'm not talking about EQ and stuff like that. Basically, if you want your track to sound kind of good, you want to have separation. So, I mean, this is gonna sound quite bad, but maybe like this is your chords or something. Then you have your bass line here. Then, or maybe your counter melody. This. Then you have your bass here. And on top of this, you have your melody. Now the thing is, instruments have different registers, right? So some instruments can actually play here, but some can't. So it's up to you to decide, okay, how do I want to play this? That's up to you. Maybe you want first violins to play the melodic part up here, and that's fine. Maybe you want to have, I don't know, brass here or something else. Now there's more to this than what I just showed you, but can get kind of confusing. But another thing I noticed is that you can do this also by color or timbre. So sometimes maybe you're like, okay, but I want to play the melodic part on something else. And maybe you actually have notes here, kind of, on like one instrument that plays the melodic part. And maybe you can like put a harp here or something. But it doesn't clash because the instruments actually have different sounds. So it still works, kind of. I'm gonna see if I have good example. Doesn't seem like I have a good example of this. But basically, if you have like two instruments that are playing differently with a different sound and they're still playing the same octave, it might work because they are sounding different. So, just gonna listen to this and see if I really hope I get better at this. Okay, here's one thing that I sort of discovered when I was doing this part. Which is, you know, when you have percussion, a cool thing is that the percussion evolves, right? It plays first like this. You get the idea? And then it plays like this. Okay, one big thing I noticed was basically if you have energetic percussion, the track needs to be energetic too. Like basically if the tracks evolves and their percussion does the same thing, it needs to come as one, kind of. So when you make tracks like this, you have to think about everything playing together. So here the brass comes in. And just because the brass kind of brings this energy, this layer works. This is, well, these notes aren't used here. They're muted. So yeah, when you do percussion, you have to be aware of how does my other instrument sound? Like, is it energetic? Is it like more quiet? Like, you have to think about the whole track as one track, and you have to think if the percussion actually works in the context. So the thing is, you have to really take care of each element in your track, kind of. Also, there's a variation here. Here. Or he brings something new to the table. So instead of just doing the repetition normally, he brings something new. Yeah, I think this part. Yeah, it's this. So, here he brings something. So first it just plays like this. And instead of just repeating that, like he could have done this and just repeat it, probably. He kind of decided to do something else with the strings. So yeah. Also, I think he separated the strings more. I'm pretty sure he did. Because I think, I'm not sure, but I think he felt like sort of starts lacking direction, kind of, the ensemble. So we separated it. So yeah, gonna listen to it. Alright, I think we can move on to this part. So let me listen to it. Alright, here's a big thing that he actually that I think is like really smart of him. So, you know, like all these orchestral libraries have different articulations, right? The thing is, sometimes you have articulations, but they're not exactly how you want them to be. So, in this case, think it's this part. 34. Oh my god, I just love that part. Okay, so the thing is, he is making crescendos, but since the articulation, he wanted to, like, 8IO, what is it even called? Century Brass has crescendos, but if I just play this. Okay, I'm just gonna explain it to you. Basically, the crescendo long was too short. They wouldn't like play until up here or here or here. So what he decided to do was using the sustain. But he did the dynamics in such a way that it became crescendos. So sometimes if your library is lacking something that you really need, you can try to get creative and actually find ways to achieve what you want to achieve. And this was a huge eye opener for me because I was like, what is it doing? Like, why doesn't he use crescendos, kind of? And I mean, I got an answer because I did what he did. So that's a huge thing. What else? Oh yeah, we have trumpets here. Something that people usually say is, okay, so if you wanna make the melody noticeable, you have to play it on the highest register. That's true, but you can also do something different, but maybe on lower volume. Before I did this track, I hated trumpets. I won't like lie about that. I hated trumpets because every time I did trumpets, they kind of like sounded too sharp. They took over everything and it just became this mess, kind of. So I didn't use them. But what I noticed is that you can use them and you can like use the expression or something to make them lower. Alright, and he layers this too with fire, I think. I don't remember, honestly. Yeah. So just like before, you can layer it, and you can like do it differently. I remember exactly actually. Probably brass. Yeah, like they have different sounds and they're layered, and I think they even have a different rhythm. And it works because they kind of add together. Like they're not fighting for space, like I said before. They're actually leaving space for each other. Um. Also, here, one thing that's really noticeable is that the percussion evolves, and it's really noticeable here. Like this part is also noticeable, but here, kind of just, I wouldn't call it quiet, but it's less, and it becomes more and more and more, kind of. So listen. So just like I explained before, you have to think, like you have to see this as a band playing, kind of. Because this part here, it makes sense since all the other parts are becoming grand. But this wouldn't probably make sense like if we put it here. So yeah. Alright, so there are probably things I didn't discuss, because I'm not a professional and I'm still actually... I have still a lot of things I need to learn and discover. But I hope this has been helpful. And my goal with this is basically open your eyes and kind of stop you from being the loop master, which is basically, oh, I got these 8 cool bars and I'm just gonna loop that. And also, like, give you an eye opener of how you can be creative. That's why I said stuff about layering on different ways. So instead of like just copy paste stuff, you can still copy paste, but you have to do it with a purpose. You can, I don't know, for example, say you have one melodic part and you play the melodic part on brass with, I don't know, marcatos or legatos or something. And you're like, okay, this sounds really good. I'm gonna layer it. And a cool thing you can do instead of just copy paste that and put it, I don't know, on strings or something, is you can layer it on strings, for example, but with short notes, for example. I think that's just a much better way to go. Alright, so now we're gonna play my track, which isn't as good, but it's my best. It's my best track, orchestral track. And the structure could be better, but I really feel like I'm on the right track now. Like, before, I couldn't make a track like this, for sure. So there are like still things that I can improve, and I'm not trying to like sweep it under the rug or something. I'm just being honest. Also, before I play this, I just want to say something really important, which is don't compare your music to my music and vice versa. Like I shouldn't compare my music to your music, which is something I used to do. Instead, what I found really helpful is I compare my music to my music. So even if this isn't exactly amazing, I can still listen to this and I still hear improvements, and they're like huge on some parts. And a lot of the things I did here, I actually learned from his From Scratch series. So, for example, this isn't as impressive as like writing something by ear, but it still taught me a lot. And I still have some covers I want to do by ear. I'm gonna try that. Anyways, 1, 2, 3, go. So yeah. That was everything. So I hope all of you are fine during these crazy times. And I really hope you learned something. Because even though I'm not a professional, I do think that I can teach you guys something that you didn't think about. And I also highly recommend you guys to subscribe to his channel because he has a lot of great tutorials. And I actually watch his tutorials and I make my own practices. So yeah, take care, guys.